Definitely up there, isn't it, with the moment of when you found out this particular moment in life, the sad passing of our wonderful Queen Elizabeth II, a monarch that was really with us through so much, 70 years on the throne. And there's lots of gossip and lots of salacious stuff surrounding, of course, the late Queen, exactly what the illnesses were and all that sort of stuff. That really doesn't interest me. The fact that she got to 96 years old and was still able to do Zoom calls, zip around and do her very best in her remaining years really should be applauded. So I was absolutely thrilled to finally meet up with the former British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Liz Truss, who literally made history as the very final British Prime Minister to be sworn in, literally up at Balmoral in front of Queen Elizabeth. What was her take on that final meeting? As ever, let me explain. Morning, lovely to see you today. Thank you so much for taking the time out. You all right? Yes, I'm not bad, thanks. I'm glad you're all right. Yes. As I said, it's always good, isn't it? Because, you read so many things, hear so many things about, particular stories, and you kind of think, what is the true story behind that? Now, as we all know, we found these particular pictures of our late monarch very disturbing. It was very upsetting to see her looking so frail. And if you recall at the time, it had been some time since we'd actually seen her pictured. But there she was, literally rallying round, feeling very unwell, I was told, but simply there doing her duty to the last, swearing in her very final British Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Liz Truss. And when you think about it, as I spoke to Liz yesterday and said, what was it like in the room? Did you have a sense of feeling that this could have been the very final moment? And she said no. She was aware that the Queen had mobility issues. They were all aware of that. She said, but what she saw was a very frail lady simply trying her best. But what she also pointed out was she was still very sharp, very much across all the political landscape, and knew exactly what was going on. And then, of course, as we found out, very tragically, in less than a few hours, she'd sadly passed away. And this literally turned Liz's world upside down. She pointed out that she didn't see exactly at the moment in time just how relevant this would become. She is a moment in history. And as she said, it was very rare, unprecedented in fact, to be sworn in up at Balmoral. This was because Her Majesty the Queen wasn't able to travel. And even on the journey up there, she said she didn't really get just how, the resonance of that, what it was going to be like as she stepped off the plane. And of course, the moment that she left the room, she did say that she got a sense of, the Queen said to her, it's nice to see you, try your very best, pace yourself. She said she couldn't have been nicer, warmer, kinder. And their final words really were that, she looked forward to seeing her again the following week. This is the weekly audience, of course, with the reigning monarch. So, Miss Truss thought nothing more of it. Of course, what happened in the next few hours literally turned her world upside down. And as I said to her, how nervous were you about now having to address the nation over somebody so much loved? And she pointed out very sweetly to me, she couldn't stop crying. She said she didn't realise how much it would affect her. But of course, she couldn't show that on camera. She had to stand out the famous black door at number 10 Downing Street and literally address the nation. And what followed over the next few days, she said, was like a whirlwind dream. She couldn't believe it. When she finally, of course, caught up with the brand new king, His Majesty the King, King Charles III, she simply said she wanted to throw her arms around him just to comfort him, but she couldn't because that's not protocol, and of course the world's media were looking on. That was the difficulties, she pointed out, of the transition and exactly what she was going through. As I said, there was lots to talk about, and she was literally fascinated on the topic of the very final conversation with Her Majesty the Queen. Her book's out now, and I'm not plugging it, I'm not an endorser, I'm not an ambassador, but it really would be well worth, a read, simply because there's certainly more than she's put in the book, and as I pointed out, you really will go down in the history books. But it was nice to get it directly from her, exactly what it was like to be in that room for the very final time for, of course, our late and wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. And neither she, of course, and possibly the Queen did know that that could have been the very final time. As she said, it's very difficult to look at the pictures now without getting upset. And I think she speaks for all of us. Am I right? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.